All right, Nick and Andy, let's preview Liverpool against West Ham United coming up at Anfield this weekend. Liverpool having a bit of a wobble, I think it's fair to say. They are still 11 points clear at the top, Nick, with 7 games of the season to go. Is this just like nerves? What do you think this is? There's a little bit of, we're going to win the league probably, and those little percentages just off, because I think Arne Slot was pretty upset with some of the defending in that defeat away at Fulham last weekend, wasn't he?
Well, 2 separate things here. One, that defending was awful. Like, that was a terrible, terrible, terrible moment, and one that maybe they overcome. I mean, they almost overcame it, but I think the issue here is pretty simple. For years, we have talked about the depth of talent and how many stars Liverpool have in attack, and is Mane maybe more important than Salah? Blah, blah. Well, Mo Salah hasn't scored a non-penalty since February 6th, and Liverpool hasn't looked great. He's the most important player of the team. We've talked about it, Joe. You've written about it up until this little dry spell. Have we seen a better, stronger MVP season? It's his Daft Punk season, right? So, but he just hasn't really been there. And maybe it's the fact that, there are talks that the contract is getting closer, and maybe his mind has been a little bit, I don't know, not distracted, but it's as simple as that. The best player on the best team has been pretty darn cold. His only 2 goals, again, since the one I mentioned, were against Saints from the penalty spot. So I just really think it's that simple. And when he clicks into form, they'll beat almost everyone again.
Andy, do you agree with that? And what do you think about what Nick mentioned there about Salah and obviously Van Dijk? A lot of reports saying that those two have agreed new long-term or couple-year contracts to stay at Liverpool, which obviously is a huge positive. But I think the timing of it's pretty key, right? Around this little blip where they're just trying to close out the title. It's maybe just trying to calm things down and just make sure everything's good for the final few weeks of the season where they can win this title again.
Yeah, the decision to re-sign him, I think, is obviously a no-brainer, and it gives the club a lot more of a buffer room, a bridge into what the next evolution, the next era of the team is going to be under Slot, and he doesn't have to make, obviously the big wholesale changes coming up in the summer this year, and so it makes complete sense. And they've both proven at very important positions, by the way, the attacking hub that is Salah and center back for Van Dijk, that they're still 2 of the best players in the world at their positions. And so it would have been a huge blow. I don't think we really got to that point of considering them leaving, because it kind of seemed like they were probably going to stay. But if you think about this team next season playing 38 games in the Premier League without either one of them, let alone maybe both, that would have been a real wake-up call, I guess. To Nick's point, I'm going to push back a little bit and say, who else is stepping up for this team at the moment right now? And I think you're right to point out that when Sadio Mane was going at his very best, there was an argument that Salah wasn't the best attacking player. To me, Cody Gakpo, where has this guy gone in the last couple of months? His last Premier League goal, January 25th. It's been a couple months now since he's found the back of the net, and he had become kind of that player who was very consistent and would pop up in a big moment, whether it was a headed goal or just cleaning up something at the back post. It's just been Salah, it feels like, for the last couple of months now. And I think when teams get to that point, when you look at it from an opponent's perspective, it's not easy to shut down just Mo Salah. But when you really only feel like you have to focus on him, you can force Liverpool, I guess, to become a little bit more one-dimensional when nobody else is stepping up.
Yeah, it's right. Like Jota, Nunez, Gakpo, obviously Szoboszlai,
Diaz has been pretty good, but
Diaz has been pretty good, right?
Outlier and not starting every game, to be sure.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It's just feels a bit flat for some reason, and it shouldn't really be, because you're on the verge of winning just your 2nd Premier League title and equaling Man United's record as having 20 league titles in the top flight. So it feels like they should be a bit more positive. Maybe that's just a result of the way they went out of the Champions League, losing the League Cup final to Newcastle, and there's not many negatives, but those things I think they were expecting to be talking about. We can win the treble now and juggling all that, and now it's just 7 more games and a couple more wins and they should close it out. So I don't know, a bit of an anticlimax, it seems like, the end of the season for Liverpool. That's the way it seems to me, at least. What about West Ham then, Nick? Because watched their game against Bournemouth last weekend. They were decent, and a 2-2 draw, went 2-1 ahead. Fulkrug finally back from injury, buried a header, as we know he can, and Bowen did the same. Be intrigued to see if Bowen and Fulkrug start together, and Kudos and Paqueta behind them, just kind of very dangerous in theory. We look at those 4 players, but it just seems like the balance all season long with these signings for West Ham, it just hasn't been right. So Graham Potter, that's his big task, right? To kind of build some momentum the end of this season, going into the summer in his first full season in charge, just kind of have it a bit more figured out so they know where they're going this summer in terms of recruitment, who they can count on, and then what style they are, because I still can't really work out what's going on at West Ham since Potter's coming.
Yeah, there's some square peg situations here. It's obviously a very talented team. We've talked about that. I wonder if there's a little bit of a Amarim thing where it's like, look, man, I just know I got to get through this, because they don't look the same every week and the plan is different. And it's not so much that they have 2 or 3 plans they want to choose from as it could make, how could it make us the best in this game? It's more which of these leaves us the least vulnerable to the strengths of the other team. And that's the argument, right, for having a manager for multiple seasons, and why I'll be interested to see what Potter looks like next year with West Ham, presuming that he's there. So, you know, for me, it's just a situation where I don't know what I'm getting from them every week. And at times it's just kind of boredom. I think Potter goes, look, we're just going to try and get through this game and we'll practice our defense, guys. You know, like there's just been that element from time to time. And that could be the case, by the way. This week, he may have to be bunkered in against a Liverpool team that is going to be hungry to find its scoring boots.
Yeah, just a comfortable situation for West Ham. Not going to get relegated, obviously, but they can't climb much higher. So it's all about trying those different combinations and ideas. And yeah, like I said, seeing who we can count on long term, as he probably is going to be in charge of West Ham next season, we think.
But,
so, yeah, it hasn't. It's been okay. It's been just okay, right, so far.
It's been very West Ham. It's what it's been.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Andy, what do you think, mate, score prediction-wise for this one?
Yeah, it looks like David Moyes' team is trying to play Graham Potter's football. I think it's probably the best way I can think to describe what's going on at West Ham now. Yeah, we don't know exactly what to expect from him, but I do imagine that it'll be something similar to what we saw last weekend. If it's 3 at the back, I think this is the weekend that Salah and maybe even Diaz as well, who just, by the way, only has 2 Premier League goals in 2025. And so, 2-0, I'll go to Liverpool, and probably those 2 getting the goals. It feels like the perfect opportunity for them to just resteady themselves and get themselves over the line.
Nick, they got waxed at home to Liverpool. And this is at Anfield at a team, and I think the fans are excited about the title. I do. And maybe they will kind of push that over the line. I think this could be a 3-1, a 4-1, a 3-0. I'll settle on 3-0.
Cool. I'm going 3-1 to Liverpool. I think you're right. I think it might be quite close up until the second half, but then I think that the kind of depending on what happens the day before for Arsenal as well, that they just don't want that lead to be cut in any more than it already is in terms of the title race, and then knowing that they have to play Arsenal at Anfield as well coming up between now and the end of the season. So I think just that experience, that nous, that determination really to kind of put right some of the wrongs from the defeat of Fulham last weekend. I think that the professionalism within this team, we've seen it all season long. That's the reason they went on a 26-game unbeaten run in the Premier League to start with. The likes of Van Dijk, Robertson, Salah, Alisson, these are very, very experienced players who are obviously top quality, but just the demands are so high. And I think that will see them through the rest of the season and get the job done with regards to the title. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for how to watch information, live reaction, analysis, and much more from this game. Liverpool against West Ham. Let's see if the Reds can move one step closer to clinching the Premier League title.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Lowe, and as we head towards the end of an exciting Premier League season, make sure you like and subscribe on the NBC Sports YouTube channel for more content like this.